pressing problems. Invest in building social awareness and capital. Support activities generating optimism, hope, and pride for national achievements for 75 years. Let's again make a tryst with destiny and pledge our present for a stronger tomorrow. When the future generations look back, let it be with the knowledge that when India thinks it can, it does.
From humble roots in Finland to over 110 years in the making. From one machine shop in 1910 to spanning across over 140 countries and more. From 12 state-of-the-art global production sites to 8 advanced R&D centers around the world. From over 1.4 million active installed units to serving over 1 billion people every day. We are KONE, the global leader in elevators and escalators. We are guided by our strong mission to improve the flow of urban life. To this effect, we have always imbibed safety, quality, and sustainability into our operations to help our customers make the best of world's cities, buildings, and public spaces, true to our vision to create the best people flow experience. Our Indian roots date back to 1984, and today KONE continues to be a forerunner in the elevator and escalator industry with over 5,000 employees and regional offices spread across 4 major cities in India. Our state-of-the-art factory located in Sriperumbudur near Chennai is India, South and Southeast Asia's largest elevator manufacturing facility, delivering products and solutions not only pan-India, but also to neighboring countries like Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. We owe our breakthrough innovations to our 8 global technology centers. The ones in India that work for global and Indian innovations are located in Chennai and Pune. These world-class technology centers work together with customers, partners, and research institutes to provide the best-in-class people flow solutions. Our path-breaking experience centers spread across India elevate customer experiences with real-life interactive sessions displaying our technological and aesthetic capabilities. Our newly launched iRefresh series takes ode from the elements of nature and can complement every building's unique style with its vibrant and energetic design aesthetics and themes. An elevator needs to evolve with use, and our new range of KONE DX Class elevators are a game changer in this regard. pioneering built-in digital connectivity, intuitive ambient lighting and sound, along with touchless application performing interface, AI-powered network support and services, and 24/7 advanced people flow solutions for monitoring and access control. We have been associated with the best across segments, religiously following our core ethos of promoting sustainable success with customers. Through Kone Centennial Foundation, a global non-profit organization, we continue to support issues spanning social, economic, environmental, and humanitarian concerns. We are especially proud of our collaboration with Chitkara University in Punjab, offering the youths a learning course in elevator technology with prospective employment opportunities within Kone. Our Green Dream wall painting campaign aims at sensitizing people on key environmental issues while beautifying the neglected walls across India and support Swachh Bharat mission. It also provides a means of livelihood to the local painters and artists. We're an organization of many firsts, such as machine roomless elevator, high-rise lamps, ultra-row, eco-disc motor, jump lift construction time, 24/7 cloud-based connected services. We are pioneers, innovators, creators. We are driven, motivated, empowered. We are here to make your journey safe, reliable, and memorable. Kone, dedicated to people flow.
When it comes to monitoring security, every environment is unique. Security professionals must maintain persistent awareness to keep people, assets, and environments safe. This means staying active, engaged, and focused. Introducing Safer for Security, the premier facial recognition platform for live video that will take your security to a new level. Safer gives security professionals advanced situational awareness with best-in-class AI-powered facial recognition that's tuned for performance and accuracy. Safer can detect and match millions of faces in real time, even under the most challenging conditions. All data is encrypted, in transit or at rest. Live analytics provide actionable insights, such as traffic volume, demographic compositions, dwell time, and more. Safer can be paired with a video management system to provide vigilant 24/7 monitoring across multiple video feeds. Live overlays show exactly who is on camera. Alerts and notifications are fully customizable, and bookmarks with searchable metadata make investigative work faster and more effective. With highly accurate AI-powered facial recognition, Safer for Security provides a new level of visibility and assurance, so you can better protect your people, facilities, and valuable assets. Secure, accurate facial recognition. Safer for Security from Real Networks.
India is the future. A young country with the manpower and resources to shape the course of the world. Over the years, it has shown that it can walk its talk when it comes to breaking new grounds and bringing revolutionary changes in the country. As the 75th year approaches, it is time to celebrate these milestones. Let's commit to a new future that carries everyone forward at the same pace. A future defined by a vision that is at once bold, imaginative, and inclusive. Such a vision exists in the form of India at 75. It was drawn up by the people of India in 2008 during one of the largest visioning exercises of its kind. Led by the Confederation of Indian Industry, the vision reflected the people's aspiration for their country. Over the years, CII has been bringing different groups together so that they can work to help the country towards these milestones, directly or indirectly. It has been a fulfilling journey thus far. It is now time to celebrate how far our country has come since it first flew its flag as a free nation. Become a part of India at 75 celebration and commit yourself to collaborating for a strong and inclusive nation. These are a few things you can do in your capacity as an individual or an organization. Volunteer and encourage volunteering. Proactively engage with other stakeholders to find solutions to some of India's most pressing problems. Invest in building social awareness and capital. Support activities generating optimism, hope, and pride for national achievements for 75 years. Let's again make a tryst with destiny and pledge our present for a stronger tomorrow. When the future generations look back, let it be with the knowledge that when India thinks it can, it does.
From humble roots in Finland to over 110 years in the making. From one machine shop in 1910 to spanning across over 140 countries and more. From 12 state-of-the-art global production sites to 8 advanced R&D centers around the world. From over 1.4 million active installed units to serving over 1 billion people every day. We are Kone, the global leader in elevators and escalators. We are guided by our strong mission to improve the flow of urban life. To this effect, we have always imbibed safety, quality, and sustainability into our operations to help our customers make the best of world's cities, buildings, and public spaces, true to our vision to create the best people flow experience. Our Indian roots date back to 1984, and today Kone continues to be a forerunner in the elevator and escalator industry with over 5,000 employees and regional offices spread across 4 major cities in India. Our state-of-the-art factory located in Sri Perumbudur near Chennai is India, South and Southeast Asia's largest elevator manufacturing facility, delivering products and solutions not only pan-India but also to neighboring countries like Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. We owe our breakthrough innovations to our 8 global technology centers. The ones in India that work for global and Indian innovations are located in Chennai and Pune. These world-class technology centers work together with customers, partners and research institutes to provide the best-in-class people flow solutions. Our path-breaking experience centers spread across India elevate customer experiences with real-life interactive sessions displaying our technological and aesthetic capabilities. Our newly launched iRefresh series takes ode from the elements of nature and can complement every building's unique style with its vibrant and energetic design aesthetics and themes. An elevator needs to evolve with use, and our new range of Kone DX Class elevators are a game changer in this regard. Pioneering built-in digital connectivity, intuitive ambient lighting and sound, along with touchless application performing interface, AI-powered network support and services, and 24/7 advanced people flow solutions for monitoring and access control. We have been associated with the best across segments, religiously following our core ethos of promoting sustainable success with customers. Through Kone Centennial Foundation, a global non-profit organization, we continue to support issues spanning social, economic, environmental, and humanitarian concerns. We are especially proud of our collaboration with Chitkara University in Punjab, offering the youths a learning course in elevator technology with prospective employment opportunities within Kone. Our Green Dream wall painting campaign aims at sensitizing people on key environmental issues while beautifying the neglected walls across India and support Swachh Bharat mission. It also provides a means of livelihood to the local painters and artists. We're an organization of many firsts, such as machine roomless elevator, high-rise lamps, ultra-row, eco-disc motor, jump lift construction time, 24/7 cloud-based connected services. We are pioneers, innovators, creators. We are driven, motivated, empowered. We are here to make your journey safe, reliable, and memorable. Kone, dedicated to people flow.
When it comes to monitoring security, every environment is unique. Security professionals must maintain persistent awareness to keep people, assets, and environments safe. This means staying active, engaged, and focused. Introducing Safer for Security, the premier facial recognition platform for live video that will take your security to a new level. Safer gives security professionals advanced situational awareness with best-in-class AI-powered facial recognition that's tuned for performance and accuracy. Safer can detect and match millions of faces in real time, even under the most challenging conditions. All data is encrypted, in transit or at rest. Live analytics provide actionable insights, such as traffic volume, demographic compositions, dwell time, and more. Safer can be paired with a video management system to provide vigilant 24/7 monitoring across multiple video feeds. Live overlays show exactly who is on camera. Alerts and notifications are fully customizable, and bookmarks with searchable metadata make investigative work faster and more effective. With highly accurate AI-powered facial recognition, Safer for Security provides a new level of visibility and assurance, so you can better protect your people, facilities, and valuable assets. Secure, accurate facial recognition. Safer for Security from Real Networks.
From humble roots in Finland to over 110 years in the making. From one machine shop in 1910 to spanning across over 140 countries and more. From 12 state-of-the-art global production sites to 8 advanced R&D centers around the world. From over 1.4 million active installed units to serving over 1 billion people every day. We are KONE, the global leader in elevators and escalators. We are guided by our strong mission to improve the flow of urban life. To this effect, we have always imbibed safety, quality, and sustainability into our operations to help our customers make the best of world's cities, buildings, and public spaces, true to our vision to create the best people flow experience. Our Indian roots date back to 1984, and today KONE continues to be a forerunner in the elevator and escalator industry with over 5,000 employees and regional offices spread across 4 major cities in India. Our state-of-the-art factory located in Sriperumbudur near Chennai is India, South and Southeast Asia's largest elevator manufacturing facility, delivering products and solutions not only pan-India, but also to neighboring countries like Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. We owe our breakthrough innovations to our 8 global technology centers. The ones in India that work for global and Indian innovations are located in Chennai and Pune. These world-class technology centers work together with customers, partners, and research institutes to provide the best-in-class people flow solutions. Our path-breaking experience centers spread across India elevate customer experiences with real-life interactive sessions displaying our technological and aesthetic capabilities. Our newly launched iRefresh series takes ode from the elements of nature and can complement every building's unique style with its vibrant and energetic design aesthetics and themes. An elevator needs to evolve with use, and our new range of KONE DX Class elevators are a game changer in this regard. Pioneering built-in digital connectivity, intuitive ambient lighting and sound, along with touchless application performing interface, AI-powered network support and services, and 24/7 advanced people flow solutions for monitoring and access control. We have been associated with the best across segments, religiously following our core ethos of promoting sustainable success with customers. Through KONE Centennial Foundation, A global non-profit organization, we continue to support issues spanning social, economic, environmental, and humanitarian concerns. We are especially proud of our collaboration with Chitkara University in Punjab, offering the youths a learning course in elevator technology with prospective employment opportunities within Kone. Our Green Dream wall painting campaign aims at sensitizing people on key environmental issues while beautifying the neglected walls across India and support Swachh Bharat mission. It also provides a means of livelihood to the local painters and artists. We're an organization of many firsts, such as machine roomless elevator, high-rise lamps, ultra-row, eco-disc motor, jump lift construction time, 24/7 cloud-based connected services. We are pioneers, innovators, creators. We are driven, motivated, empowered. We are here to make your journey safe, reliable, and memorable. Kone, dedicated to people flow.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, very good morning to you, Virendra.
Can we start the session, please?
Yes,
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we have Rajat on the call? Rajat, you want to make the opening statement or should I start?
No, Mr. Virendra Gupta, Deputy General CI, will be having the opening remarks.
Ms. De Silva, Mr. Amit Gosain, Mr. Dinesh Agarwal, Mr. Rajesh Prabhu, Mr. Ramesh Vishwanathan, Mr. Amit Khanna, Dr. Amarnath. I would like to welcome you all to this first edition of the Intelligence Summit and Expo, which is being held over the next 2 days, today and tomorrow. And we are indeed privileged to have the support of the Government of India, especially the Ministry for Electronics and Information Technology, the Ministry for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, the Ministry of Ayush, and the Department of Science and Technology for supporting this maiden initiative. The Intelligence Conference is in alignment with CI's India at 75 initiative to celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. India at 75 is an industry-led initiative which in 2008 envisioned an India of 2022 in the 75th year of independence. The ethos of this vision is to really enable change by facilitating convergence of stakeholders from a collaborative and a participative approach for translating the vision into reality. And CI, I would like to mention that CI has a very strong commitment in digital technologies, including AI, big data, automation, etc. With the Tata Communications, the Center for Digital Transformation is helping enterprises to explore new technologies, and the CI Center of Excellence for Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Startup also helps enterprises to really see new ideas for commercialization of technology. We also have the CI Center of Excellence for Quality, which undertakes capacity building in digitization, robotics, and automation. So this is the work that CI is really doing in the space of intelligent devices. And I'm delighted to announce that this 2-day conference themed integrating society and economy with intelligent products, technology, and services is aligned with the theme Self-Reliant India, Building India for a New World. And we have been able to engage 33 speakers in 5 sessions over the next 2 days. And with that, I would now request Mr. Ravindra Reddy to please take it over and then conduct the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Virendra. Very good morning to all of you. The topic that we will be discussing today with this esteemed group of panelists who are who are there with me is about intelligent living. If I were to introduce the subject, technology is taking a center stage in all infrastructure discussions in developing and developed countries. Technology, especially the exploding array of connected devices that are now as pervasive as roads, railways, and energy, is becoming the fourth service called intelligent living. A service that has necessitated intelligent, interconnected, and instrumented living that is innovative, quick, efficient, sustainable, and above all green. Intelligent living is designed to make humans live easier with the help of integrated process, smart engineering, creative design that learns and takes decisions. It is people-centric, sustainable, and efficient. Today, intelligent living has become an opportunity to address the problems and challenges that are gripping the world, and is promoting the forward thinkers, leaders, and citizens around the world to consider innovative ideas such as smart homes, intelligent construction, travel-centric transportation, consumer electric power supply, consumer-based electric power supply, and integrated devices leveraging the Internet of Things securely. Leaders in the industries are bringing technologies into our daily lives, from smart power grids to smart food, smart water, smart healthcare, and smarter traffic. Computational power is being infused into things that no one would recognize as computers, like phones, homes, cars, etc. That were the erstwhile tools. With the increasing capturing of more information and data than ever before, sophisticated analytics and algorithms are being developed that could make sense of it and learn themselves. While we are progressing from conventional and manual ways of living to robotic dependent living, we need to take a pause and discuss what we achieved so far, what are the new opportunities, and above all, challenges that might be faced going forward to make urban life more sustainable, connected, and efficient. With me today are esteemed group of panelists who are not only innovators by themselves, but also are the champions of industry and have been helping this concept of developing smart cities, developing smart and innovative ways of living, not only in urban centers, but also in semi-urban and rural centers. Let me take a couple of minutes to introduce these panelists to you. I have Mr. Amit Gosai, an engineer and a management graduate from IIT Delhi. Amit is the managing director of Kone, the leaders in elevators and escalator industry both in India and abroad. His experience ranges from working across various geographies and industries in the world. Amit has worked in agriculture and construction equipment business with CNH Global, JCB, and L&T. Amit is currently the chairman of Urban Development and Smart Cities Committees of CII. He represents IEEMA as chairman for Elevators and Escalators Division. Amit was the president of Indian Construction Equipment Manufacturers Association and the chairman of Solid Waste Management Committee of CII, and the past chairman of Finland Chamber of Commerce in India. We have Mr. Dinesh Agarwal, who is a management graduate from IIM Calcutta, post completing his engineering from NIT Kurukshetra. Dinesh has been part of Panasonic since its acquisition of Anchor Vehicles over 13 years ago. He has played key role in transforming a family-owned and managed company to a professionally managed Japanese multinational that has grown over the years in both revenue and profits, with the increasing market share in each product category. He is now leading Panasonic into new geographic and new businesses for smart city infrastructure. We were supposed to have Mr. P. Manglani, in his view, I think he was busy in some other activities. So we have Mr. Suresh Prabhu, who has taken time out to be present on behalf. Rajat, can you introduce Mr.
Ravindra. Sorry to interrupt. My name is Rajesh Prabhu. I've been asked by my CEO Suresh Manglani to attend this. I'm a mechanical engineer from NIT Surathkal. Started my career with GAIL and have over 29 years of experience in city gas distribution. Currently, I'm heading technical department and Region 3 projects of Adani Total Gas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rajesh. Thank you. So your name is Rajesh Prabhu, right? If I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Rajesh Prabhu.
Sure. We also have Mr. Ramesh Vishwanathan. Mr. Ramesh Vishwanathan attended IIT Madras for his engineering and then went to study management and finance at Columbia University. Ramesh is Senior Vice President of the Center for Research and Innovation at Havels. He heads the innovation group in Bangalore that focuses on Center of Excellence in IoT, cloud, analytics, power, electronics, and engineering design. Before joining Havels, Ramesh was associated with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited and then went on to head the technology and innovations at Siemens Corporate Technology, Bangalore. We also have Mr. Amit Khanna, who is an architect by profession and a visiting professor at SPA New Delhi. He is the founder and design principal at Amit Khanna Design Associates. The work of his firm integrates architecture, construction, and sustainability, producing award-winning and globally recognized buildings. He graduated from School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi in 2000 and attended Oxford for his master's in sustainable urban development. He heads the design studio at AKDA, combining day-to-day involvement in design with his primary responsibilities for strategic direction of the practice. He is a widely published author and photographer, and he has special focus on transformation of cities. We also have Tulela De Silva. She is the founder and principal designer at Architect T and is passionate about architecture, sustainability, vernacular building systems, ecology, and Goa. Social and environmental issues are close to her heart and loves to design and build cost-effective, eco-friendly buildings. Entrepreneurship, citizen initiatives, social architecture, writing, mentoring, running a neighborhood community classroom, and outdoor learning are also a large part of what she does, being a consummate networker and doer. We also have Dr. Amarnath. Dr. Amarnath CB heads the Building Information Modeling Strategy at L&T. He is also the founding president of National BIM Society that focuses on digital transformation of Indian Eco Sector, AECO. He is the chairman of BIM at Governing Council of Focus Forum of Critical Utility Services, and he is serving as principal member Construction Management Selection Committee, Bureau of Indian Standards. He holds PhD in establishing organization BIM strategies and a master in global BIM management from University of Barcelona. So we have these, set of very panel guests. It will be important for each one of them to share their views about what we think are intelligent living. To start with, Mr. Amit Gosai. The smart cities in India today are leveraging both physical and virtual technologies such as distributed sensors and cloud-based communication to address today's urban issues around transportation, waste management, energy distribution and consumption, infrastructure, public services, healthcare, and other challenges. This is the beginning of adoption of smart living. What, in your point of view, are standing today in terms of readiness for adoption of intelligent living in terms of availability and infrastructure? Simply putting, like charging of electric cars, uninterrupted, etc., and regulation of data storage and cybersecurity. If you can throw some light on this.
Thank you, Ravinder, and got a very good panel. And thank you to CI to put up an interesting topic of discussion, which is intelligent living and smart cities. And I think this is, again, we're talking about the future quite a bit. And like always, CI chooses some very futuristic and good topics to discuss. So firstly, let me just go to your question. I think there are two elements to it. One is basic living. And I think, Ravinder, like you rightly put it right in the beginning, that we are now looking at intelligent living. But for basic living, the core infrastructure itself is required, like adequate water supply, electricity supply, sanitation, solid waste management, urban mobility, affordable housing. So the government has done a lot of work in all these sectors. In fact, I think, if you go by what the central and the state governments are doing, they're all working towards ensuring that the standard of living and the basic living is right. They also, talk about smart cities and smart road projects. I just call them basic road projects, which are required for India. There are about 250 road projects which are already kind of completed for urban development, and there's another 415 projects that are nearing completion, and I believe an investment of over 20,000 crores there. So this, although we call them smart roads, I think they're basic infrastructure that's required by any country, and India requires it as well. So that is happening at a very fast pace. The pandemic, of course, slowed down on things a little bit, but not much. As you can see, the connectivity and particularly the road segment did really well, and so did the power sector. The electricity is there, sanitation is much improved. So things are headed in the right direction for many years. I think now it's the time for intelligent living. And India is one country which is unique in one way. As an emerging country, we're working on both basic living and intelligent living together, because we're very high and very good in IT sector, as we've got some of the world's best companies that do IT connectivity. So intelligent living is IT connectivity and digitalization. It's all about good governance. It could be e-governance. It's about citizen participation, about sustainable environment, and safety, security of citizens, with health and education being of primary interest. And health, of course, has taken a real, I'd say, focus in the last few years, couple of years because of the pandemic. and there is so much infrastructure and health that is already made. I think if you look at some of the positives of the pandemic, this was one was health, second was digitalization. We brought it earlier, so that's what was really required. But again, you talked about I think you talked about clean mobility, or the green environment and the road transport sector. What I believe is there are about 2,600 plus charging stations in 62 cities across 24 states, which are being there's already a budget for it, and with electric vehicles, kind of the phases that are now already there's a plan there. I think this will happen, and it will happen much faster. We also saw the integrated command and control centers during the COVID, which are working very well. So there is evidence. This is all what it is. Let me just say, it's a nerve center for operations management, day-to-day exceptional handling of disaster management. Also gives complex data on how people are living and how actually to make their life easier. So this again, there is a project where there is an outlay of about 15,000 crores for ICCs, or integrated command centers, which is again intelligent living for smart cities, and they'll be set up in I think over 100 smart cities by 2022. So this is again a fast-paced project, very much required. So I'd say that the future of smart cities is really digital. This is one sector which relies on technology, and I can say touchless technology is gaining grounds. Whether you look at automatic doors, you look at mobile phone controlled hotel room locks, sensor activated light switches, so that it saves a lot of energy. In fact, we at Kone also have, through our mobile, you can call the elevators to the floor that you want. So this is again touchless technology which is there. It's smart living, and it's foolproof. So if the phone doesn't work, you can actually do it physically as well. But right now in the pandemic, we saw that more and more people wanted touchless technology. I just talk about a couple of more things. One is the National Digital Mission to establish a digital infrastructure. That's going quite fast. And again, smart cities are going to have, or the smart cities are going to have a lot of smart devices, which will have a lot of data. It will have, of course, the privacy issues will be taken care of, but that's really required. And I think the security goals of a smart city will be confidentiality, it will be integrity, it will be safety, it will be resilience, it will be health of people, it will be operational technology, and of course, all these processes to make the life of people and human beings easier, safer, and better. So that's all. That's what all smart cities and smart living and intelligent living is all about. I think we have in the panel, of course, a lot of people in the electronic sector who know exactly how the gadgets are being made these days to do that. From our end, from an elevator industry, we have cloud-based technology. We have 24/7 connected services. We work with the architects. Actually, we have architects also in the panel. We work with the architects to see what building needs what kind of facilities to make life easier. And 24/7 connected services is cloud-based. We monitor remotely all the elevators so that they don't fail, and we actually know what's going to go wrong even before it goes wrong, so we can fix them in advance. So this is what is all intelligent living is all about, and I think we are, as a company, Kone is trying to do that with the architects, with the people, and with the electronic gadget people that are around here today, and I'm actually anxiously waiting to hear from them. So that's from my end on intelligent living. Ravinder, thank you.
Thank you for those wise words, Mr. Gosai. I must say, we actually at Kone being what it is today, as far as innovations is concerned, I'm really glad that you're here to share your views on that. I'm sure a lot of intelligent living will get demonstrated in years to come, and Kone will be a leader as far as escalators and elevators are concerned. Coming to you, Mr. Amit, having talked about readiness of our country to accept this change, where are we in terms of acceptability of technology by our people? How do you think the people are reacting to this change? Are they comfortable in sharing data regularly and increase in demand of intelligent living devices, homes, buildings, etc.?
Is this for me, Ravinder?
No, it's for Mr. Amit Khanna.
Amit Khanna, okay. The two Amits here. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So my bad. I didn't realize that. Yeah, Mr. Amit Khanna. Yeah. Basically, how ready are the people to accept these changes?
Yeah, thank you. If you look at the Indian real estate industry, you basically have two main segments, right? You have residential and you have commercial. I think when you look at the commercial segment, most of the adoption is to do with the bottom line, right? People want to make buildings more efficient, and they want to integrate systems for automation if it improves the bottom line, like Amit just said about downtime on elevators. If you can limit downtime on an escalator based on your information that is coming from the escalator itself, it improves your profitability. However, for the residential segment, it's slightly different. On the residential segment, people aren't really looking for profits. People are looking for convenience. So if you talk about a passive system, which is touchless, or a sensor-based system, which if you come into a room and light goes on, or if something that senses your occupant, senses that you're there and then reacts to it. So I think the commercial segment is going to be far more easier to take an uptake towards automation and towards smart and digital buildings, because they have a very pressing need to integrate automation. They want to make more profits. They want to make their projects more efficient. You don't want a situation where a bathroom light in a mall is running for 2 hours even though nobody is using it, right? You want to have a sensor-based system there. So same goes for sensor-based taps. You want a system that helps you profit. On the residential side, I don't think we're seeing that much interest, and there's a couple of reasons for that. There's no underlying standard for all automation. So each company has its own thing going on. And of course, there are bridges that talk to each other and talk to each of these companies. But there's such a multitude of standards out there that if one was to invest into a automation system for a home, then one has to go directly into the deep well of one company. Maybe you either go with Schneider, you go with Neutron, you go with one of these companies. You can't have a hybrid system where you take the best of these companies and try and work with them, because those standards aren't integrated yet. Indian real estate is a $100 billion industry, but most of the automation that is going to come forward in the next 5-10 years is concentrated in the commercial sector and not the residential. As to your point about data sharing, I think it's a concern more for middle-aged people like us. I think the younger generation, for them, the convenience is far more important. I mean, if you think about it, when we travel, right, when we take an aeroplane, we share data, we give our passport to the guy and we give our name and everything. And we're happy to do that because it's convenient, right? And for those of you, I mean, international travel isn't so common anymore, but the fact that you used to go to Heathrow Airport and your Wi-Fi connects because it remembers you from last time is a great thing, right? And so I think that we have that barrier when it comes to convenience, but if it's happening passively around us, I don't think that people are going to sort of resist taking up something because it involves sharing data.
Thank you, Mr. Amit Khanna. I think those were very wise words, and I completely agree with you when you say that we are probably a generation older now, and the younger generation probably is not only adaptive, but it's absolutely hungry to adapt any new technology or any new innovation that comes their way. Very well said. Coming to you, Mr. Ramesh Vishwanathan, while we say that people of India are ready to accept the changes and the demand is increasing, right? So what are the key opportunities for new businesses, for innovation, for social and political engagement? Are we already starting to embrace this opportunity in physical and especially in the virtual world? If you can throw some light on that.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Ravindra. I think when you look at the topic of innovation in India and how some of these things have been adopted, I think general population population in India or the people in India are definitely embrace innovation and they do take up innovation, provided, of course, there is some value out of it. We are extremely value conscious to the extent that I think it confounds a lot of the Western thinking also. We have lots and lots of these kind of examples. I'm going to digress a little bit from the building side, but I think it gives a good reinforcement of what I'm trying to say. So if you look at how the whole entire mobile networks, the lowest cost in the world kind of thing happened, that enabled us to get into the next level of innovation around the smartphones, and we adopted smartphones. And now, if you look at what's happening, we are even going into all kinds of multimedia being dished out by smartphones with the data plans and those kind of things. Just a few years ago, maybe 20 years ago or so, if someone said that India would be such a big market for mobile and mobile related innovations and things like that, we wouldn't even be thinking about that. It wouldn't be fathomable. So look at the amount of the digitalization that is happening in the entire payment industry, right? So all through the mobile, everything is like skating in such a great way. Exciting time to be a digital consumer in this time. So this is kind of what I would say extreme value proposition that we need to make if we want to get our technologies adopted by our consumer and Indian. So this is where when I see your question about are we embracing opportunity or data, we see a dichotomy. If there is enough demand for very high end stuff, but the actual volumes are value segment, and in the sense where we're able to show the people that we are giving something of value and people will embrace. So now if you come to the topic of virtual and devices and virtual worlds and physical worlds and things like that, we have seen what COVID. I think Amit Gosin had mentioned this a little earlier about COVID and stuff like that. So in the last 2 years, the entire landscape of the world, and in fact even in India, has dramatically changed. No one ever thought that people would be getting educated from home. Look at what's happening in the education sector. Homes also, people are embracing technology. People who never thought that technology are taking technology. So it's going to be very sticky now. So what I mean by that is that there is going to be some fallout of all these things on people, and they will not be as averse as what they were in the past. They will be more open to taking up technology-driven, innovative products. And I see this happening in the building sector, yes, where companies like Havels and everyone else who was in the meeting here conference are looking at how is the transformation happening. So I was this another question there, Ravinder? I'm not sure if I addressed all the things that you mentioned.
No, so yeah, I think you have addressed all of them adequately, Mr. Ramesh. So thank you for those. Thank you for those. Enlightening words. And I completely agree when you say that innovation and technology will be the forebringer for all changes that will happen in days to come. And I'm sure the same thing is happening under your leadership at Havels as well.
Yeah, so one thing I just came to my mind when I think there was also talk about EV and other things happening. So in fact, actually, if you look at the entire EV transformation also that is underway right now, I feel that it's a wild west right now, similar to what was happening in many other industries a little while ago. But very soon we will figure out what is the right model for India. We cannot definitely take the model that is happening like US and others and say that will be appropriate for India. we are going to see a pivot happening, but what and how it's going to look like is going to play out in the next few years. But this is another example of how the Indian consumer is definitely going to embrace technology and take it up. So EV is a to be watched out space in my opinion. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Now, coming to you, Mr. Amarnath, you're a champion of BIM, right? And building information management is going to be a key facet, as well as all aspects of intelligent living is concerned. When we are saying the demand for smart living will be increasing in coming 10 years, building information management or modeling has been the dominant topic in information technology and construction research since its memorable acronym replaced the boring product modeling in construction and academic conceptual modeling of buildings. So the idea of having a complete, coherent, true digital representation of buildings has become the goal of scientific research, software development, and industrial application. How do you think in this era of technology explosion are the fears and promises related to BIM?
Thank you for this question. And when we say about BIM, it's about adding the information into the model of a buildings or infrastructures or a city. And it's all about data management, which we were doing in the past and also in the current situation. But it's a better way of managing the data. And the fears with respect to bringing the change, because we moved from the handmade drawings to the CAD and now into the BIM and better way of project management. First is it brings a change in the way we work. So there is a kind of resistance from the people who work in the AC sector. And when it comes to technical aspects, it may be a software, hardware, or a network requirements. This keeps changing on day-to-day basis. And it little bit kind of scary for people, what is the kind of investment going in. And also the second thing is skilled workforce. It is a little bit expensive when it comes to the BIM skilled workforce, and is available less in number in our country because they get paid in other countries, they run away from the country. And the client driven limitations is very high in the country because not many clients are matured enough to know what is the return on investment by asking for BIM in their RFPs. So the clients have to realize, because globally, more than 30, 40 countries, clients, ministries are mandated BIM for their requirements, starting from the e-bidding and then digital twin delivery for the facility maintenance. Whatever we are speaking about the smart living, smart facilities and all of these, the fundamental foundation lays in developing this BIM model. And we are speaking about a data management in the planning, design, construction, handover, and also during facility management, demolition, recycle, all these phases. So these are some of the fears. When we don't understand BIM and implement it, then then you will not be able to realize the return on investment. So it's a strategical approach is required. And when it comes to promises, what brings in, one is you have a better way of data management, which is not practical in a traditional approach. And when it comes to CapEx and OpEx phases, by implementing a matured BIM, you will be able to save 10% of cost savings, both the phases. And digitalization, which is increasing the transparency among the stakeholders, planning from the planning team, design, construction, handover, everyone are able to know what is the current status. And also which will help for the clients for the cash flow and also for the other teams involved in the supply chain to work out much easier. And it lays a foundation for smart built environment, whatever we are speaking today. When it comes to benefits for each stakeholder specific, for clients, you can have the lower project cost, faster project delivery, and it can reduce the emissions, better customer services and risk management. When it comes to architecture and engineering firms, you can have improved coordination, visualization, better cost estimating, and competitive export and growth. And when it comes to contractors or subcontractors, you will have a better sequencing, class detection, reduce abortive works, and you can increase the offsite manufacturing and so on. And also it will help you for better safety, quality planning. When it comes to facility management organization, it can help you in asset knowledge, better information and soft landing of the data. And when it comes to the overall project management, it reduces the delivery cost, green performance, predictive planning by reducing the risk, and also by reducing the OpEx cost, whatever is involved. So these are the kind of benefits it can bring in. And if we can come out of those fears of going with BIM or not, or what client is asking, first the client has to give the clarity what they need, and then the supply chain has to work out how it has to be delivered. Then we will be able to have the smart facilities, so-called for better management, so that you can then integrate with your IoT devices, sensor data for better facility management and so on.
Thank you, Dr. Amarnath. I think, and I completely agree with you when you say, I think the modeling that BIM provides is for the future, and the amount of data that comes out of it is something that needs to be analyzed. That's of use to everybody, right? Right from builders to managers to facility managers to residents, etc. Yeah, but I also see that cost is a big impediment given its given the amount of given the premium that probably this technology demands. Thank you so much for your for your views. Coming to Talula, new technologies in construction are being developed at breakneck speed. What seemed like future tech 10-20 years ago is no more in the future. We're talking about equipment and tools and telematics and mobile apps, etc., which have become things of everyday use. We're also talking about virtual reality, 3D printing buildings. They're also here now and are being deployed and used on job sites across the world. Do you think technology disrupting the traditional construction, real estate, heavy equipment manufacturing industries? How should industries brace themselves to adopt to this evident disruption?
Thank you, Ravindra. Disruption, I believe, is good, and disruption, also makes us think intelligently. And if you look at, the way people build, for us, even when we talk about technology, our inspiration is what? It's nature, right? We're always looking at, getting our solutions to problems of building, shelter, food, everything from nature. I always ask this question, how do animals build? How do they live in their environment? And if you look at it, let's take, a simple example. Okay. Let's look at a swallow. A swallow is basically a bird. Okay. It builds with mud. It makes laddus, balls, and makes a 2-chamber nest. And it keeps using the nest, for over generations. Okay. And we find these examples even with humans, where humans also build a structure. The way they build is intelligently using, traditional methods. And then the same thing is reused by, generations. Correct? If you look at a termite nest, okay, a termite nest is a great example to look at how it has air conditioning towers, it has networks within it. For us, there's a great learning to build our plan and build our cities, correct? And we do take these influences, correct? Now look at how humans build. In Goa, I don't know whether you are aware of, we have infrastructure that was built 3,000 years ago. They're called the khazans, and it is nothing but building up of floodplains to form networks so that water could be channelized. Today they have been recognized as our climate resilient systems. Okay, so what does this teach us? We have step wells, we have water harvesting systems. Okay, and yes, today technology is providing solutions. Today, instead of we have solar cookers for home use. We have solar panels which can take care of our energy needs, for an entire building, for an entire colony. Also, I think we need to look at the value of, using technology in our buildings. Our buildings lasted a certain extent. Even in nature, you find this. And at the end of its life, there was some use of it, correct? But today, what is happening is, depending on the kind of technology we use, within 50 years, the infrastructure that we're using currently, using great technology, is coming at a very high cost. But at the end of its life, it becomes useless. So I think the key is, can we build collaboratively, just like we see animals in nature? Can we embrace technology in a way that we use it smartly, okay, or to cater to our needs? Now, our needs for a user in a home will be different, right? But the needs for a person living in a multi-storied building will be different. There, the surveillance, the security systems will be something that you cannot live without. correct? And whereas in a home in a village, will have different needs. Your neighbors will be your security system. A person vendor on the street becomes your eyes, in the neighborhood. But having said that, I think, my colleague earlier mentioned about this, about how India can, lead the way. We cannot adopt, copy technologies that the West is using. Because of our own history in building intelligent systems traditionally, correct? We have to draw from that leadership, to bridge that gap, to embrace and, give that impetus to entrepreneurs in the industry, in technology, to make that seamless connection where we can build for our needs. Why can't we use intelligent systems to address issues that are created because of building? We have debris sites, which are actually used to fill up vacant or luxurious agrarian lands. Why can't we use technology to monitor, to create apps so that people can network, coordinate, and use debris for building, and so on and so forth? There are a lot of things. There's a lot of waste that we use in construction, and a lot of people who are adopting green building practices use these wastes. But what if we had, cities planned and designed to use these wastes using technology? Why can't we use, tires in buildings, waste tires in buildings? Why can't we use waste bottles in buildings? And I think in that there is technology that is say design a lot of buildings in mud. Build entire multi-story, but needs to fill into the gaps that exist today. And I look forward to building a mud using 3D printing, building with natural materials using 3D printing.
Thank you, Talula. I can, and I appreciate your views and your sentiments on sustainability, because I think you spent a lot of time on sustainability part of it, which actually is the core of, of the problem statement, right? While technology and innovation can solve problems, but are those things sustainably something that we need to, I think that's a question that all of us will have to ask, not only in living, but every aspect of our being. And those are great words. Thank you so much. Coming to Mr. Dinesh Agrawal, smart does not automatically mean better, more livable, or more secure. For example, living in a smart city might curtail our privacy and potentially threaten democratic core values such as freedom, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So while we can say technology has consequences such as loss of privacy, hackers, techno terrorists, etc., which in smart cities, the already wide divide between rural and urban populations, culture, and politics has the potential to make this gap even wider, right? And these implications are quite dangerous. So what do you think, how might governments and technologists respond to make changes more secure and safe? Is it possible to network buildings in such a way that they generally remain safe for vast majority and for most of the time?
Thank you, Ravinder. So, our definition of smart city is very holistic, and I'm saying this, with a backing of already having created 5 smart cities across the world by Panasonic, right? So our first smart city in Japan, actually, the whole smart city thought came in after 2011, after tsunami. So what Panasonic did was in 2014, on one of our industry sites where we used to manufacture TV, we flattened that area, about 19 hectares, and we created the first sustainable smart city in 2019. It's a place called Fujisawa, which is 70 kilometers north of Tokyo. And I would recommend that all who are in this audience, look out for Fujisawa and see the video, because as you were saying, Ravinder, smart city is not just about technology; it's about community building, right? So the reason this smart city was built up is because Panasonic and Fujisawa Municipality Corporation they had the same objective, which was basically to create a town that brings energy to life. So before we started constructing the smart city, we had three objectives. So there was an objective of environment, there was an objective of energy conservation, and there was an objective of safety and security. So this town is near a sea, so it has tried to use natural elements of wind and light. So the town generates its own power. Every available area, there are solar, power generation. So it feeds the town and also feeds the excess power to the city. The town is sustainable because in case of an earthquake, it has got, built-in storages underground, which can enable living for, 3 to 4 days. It's completely connected town, secure in every which way. There are no petroleum, vehicles. So it's all electric vehicles, so electric cars and cycles. And each home is smart in itself because it monitors the energy consumption. It shuts down the devices which are not in use. All devices are inverter based, so low power consuming. All the materials used for construction are they're insulating and hence conserving energy. Every house has power generation on the top of its roof, and apart from that, there are fuel cells, so which use the city gas to charge up the fuel cells, and the balance energy is stored on batteries, right? So, I can go on and on, but the whole idea is that to us, the smartness starts from, obviously from home. Now you look at the entire community that we're talking about. Each home can be smart in many ways. So what we have done is we have defined three verticals. So there is comfort, there is safety, and there's energy. Now, depending on which segment we are talking about, one of these become important. So, as Mr. Amit Khanna was saying, for a commercial space, it is energy which is the tops, right? Because that is where your bottom line, your entire justification for investment lies. Whereas when it comes to home, security and comfort becomes higher priority. Energy takes a lower priority. So we are conscious about that, and we are also conscious about the fact what Mr. Amit Khanna mentioned about the multiple protocols that exist, the various communication protocols that exist. So what we have tried to do in our development here in India is to develop devices, the IoT devices, which are protocol agnostic, right? So today we have products, whether it is for homes or offices or public spaces, which can talk to any device with whatever multiple communication protocol it follows, and hence you're able to control lighting, we are able to control various devices, we are able to control multiple brands of appliances, whether it's air conditioner, washing machine, refrigerators, etc., etc. The capability that we have built up today is that I can automate a room, I can automate an entire house, I can automate an office space or an industrial space, I can automate a public space, and we've done projects across the country. Now, if you're talking of a smart city, imagine connecting each of these smart homes and offices and public spaces to a cloud, which is centrally controlled, right? That is when you start getting a semblance of a smart city. So we are a long way away from there, but the good news is that there is work happening. Even at the city level, as all of us are aware, the Smart City Initiative was launched, right? 100 smart cities. But we have to understand that the basic infrastructure is not in place, right? So unless we have the basic infrastructure, how do we bring smartness into it? So most of these city projects have remained at either generation of rooftop solar or automating the traffic lights, automating the smart street lights, in few cases an EV charger, infrastructure, charging infrastructure, solid wastewater management. It's happening in bits and pieces, right? So it's a humongous task. I think the country is moving towards, getting its cities connected, but I think we're looking at many, many years of development and, and a lot of challenges for development within a city. We ourselves are doing currently 2 smart city projects for street lighting and EV charging infrastructure. So we know what kind of on-ground issues that we have. So I'm not saying it's not doable, but it cannot be done in 5 years. It cannot be done in 10 years. This is going to be a long journey. And on the other side, of course, there are opportunities where the government has announced new cities to be coming up. For example, Delhi-Mumbai corridor. Now, these are going to be the greenfield cities where you can actually plan something like Fujisawa, where right from the beginning, you can actually plan a city which is completely connected and smart in itself. And which is what we are trying to do, in a small way. We're trying to appeal to the various developers, local bodies, that let's do a small community, let's do a small town, let's do a gated community which is smart, so that this whole technology demonstration can happen, that how technology can bring in a more comfortable, more energy saving, and a more secure living. That's what, Ravinder, I would have to say. As far as your question about bringing in a divide between the haves and have-nots, I think this divide in a large country like India will always remain, but we have to go with the belief that connecting city or towns will ultimately benefit everyone, whether it's a have or a have not. It's going to it's going to benefit them in terms of more secure living for them, and more comfortable living for them as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Agarwal. I think I myself have done serious work as far as smart cities in India is concerned, and have consulted close to about eight cities in their smart city journeys. And I completely agree with you when you initially said that the current scope only limits to a limited set of things, such as traffic and maybe rooftop solar, etc., which probably isn't. Yeah, aren't the best things for a smart city, right? But anyway, I completely agree with your thoughts on that, and that's a larger debate. We'll have some time else when we meet in person.
Just like to add that there are benefits. See, the smart street lighting projects we are doing today, we know that it's going to end up saving anywhere between 10 to 15% power, right? Because these these street lights are going to be dim in the initial part of the evening, and maybe around 6:37 they become 100% lit. So whatever small saving in energy, it is going to make a saving there. So all I'm saying is these are small steps which are being taken already.
Yeah. Absolutely. Coming to you, Mr. Prabhu, you come from the energy industry, and everything requires energy, right? So anything and everything that we think will be smart will require energy. My assessment tells me that buildings consume almost 40% of world's total energy, while HVAC systems represent roughly 20% of total global energy demand. Today, energy consumption are increasing at an alarming rate. After we are we entering into a vicious cycle of reducing energy consumption through smart buildings, but consumptions are increasing to meet the demand? How are we mitigating these concerns about carbon emissions associated with such huge energy demands? Over to you, Mr. Prabhu. Mr. Prabhu, I think you are on mute. We can't hear you. Are you on mute?
Yes. Sorry for that. Thank you, Ravinder. You may have some network connectivity because I'm sitting in my Tirupur, Tamil Nadu site office. I got a message only last night that I should be attending on behalf of our CEO. So, as you know, Adani Total Gas is one of the largest private city gas distribution company, and we supply natural gas to automobiles in the form of CNG, compressed natural gas. And we also supply piped natural gas to various segments, domestic, commercial, and industries. And we have already achieved, one step in touchless or contactless gas supply by supplying gas through pipelines. Unlike the conventional way of where LPG cylinders are delivered to the houses, where there is huge manual intervention. So that is one step. And Adani has been very vibrant in adopting newer and latest technologies in city gas distribution. Both in terms of energy consumption and delivering smart options to the utility companies. This one step is towards smart metering. We are seriously working on providing smart gas meters to the domestic households. In two stages. The existing mechanical meters would work on a partially smart basis, which would have automated meter reading system. And this would enable us, to remotely capture the data and we're able to provide an accurate billing to the customer. So that is one. Second, you will eliminate the manual meter readers, which which helps us to reduce the carbon footprint, because these meter readers would use vehicles to travel to various locations for taking the readings. The second stage is the fully smart meter, because going forward, we will be going for fully smart meters, which would give a lot of options for the customer. One is the accuracy of the meter, because the readings are very accurate, and this will have good trust, or it will increase the trust from the utility company from the customer side. Secondly, the customer is able to monitor and track his energy consumption. So he is able to, optimize his consumption. So this is another way where he'll be optimizing and reducing his energy cost. And thirdly, as I said, it is totally contactless, so no human intervention. Readings are accurate on real-time basis, so this helps the customer to keep a track of his consumption. This applies to even energy meters, although we are not into electricity, but the energy electric meters are also going in the same direction. So we have taken these two bold steps as a part of our analog to digital initiatives. We in fact have signed JV with a company called Smart Meters Technology Private Limited, which is a Make in India concept, just to promote the PMO's vision of Make in India. So this is one bold step we have taken, and this will also, as I said, will reduce the carbon footprint in a very big way. Coming to other sources of other options of supplying natural gas is for air conditioning. Air conditioning can also go up on vapor absorption system, where natural gas could be the fuel, and even for electric generation. Cogen is another way we have been promoting in a big way to customers. So natural gas has been playing a major role today in substituting polluting liquid fuels like petrol, diesel in the transportation sector, as well as in the industrial segment, whether it is LPG or LSHS or FO or fuel, solid fuels like coal and petcoke. So these are some major contributions from Adani Gas to reduce the carbon footprint. And from the smart utility side, because now smart meter has become a smart choice for all the utility companies, including the gas distribution company. Coming to smart cities, we are also pushing the government, the respective state governments, to include in their regulations to provide dedicated corridors for the gas pipelines, because smart meter is a good technology. Everybody wants it. But when it comes to the cost, customers are a bit reluctant to opt for a smart meter. The cost of a smart meter is almost 3 to 4 times the cost of a mechanical meter. And as per the PNGRB regulations, we cannot collect more than 5,000 deposit from for a normal domestic connection. And now they have introduced smart meters for which they have made it 6,000. So it's a very minimal amount for a CGD company to sustain. Any connection to a house is not less than 15,000. So high cost is going into the laying of pipelines. So we have done a lot of advocacy with the state governments to push in the smart meter regulations to have dedicated corridors for laying of pipeline. This will substantially reduce the cost of laying pipelines. Secondly, even for the new buildings, there has to be proper provisions for laying gas pipelines, so that also would reduce our cost of constructions. So these are some challenges which we are trying to mitigate through various advocacies, and I'm sure gradually, not only Adani Gas, several CGD companies are going for smart gas meters, and I think that is the future.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rajesh Prabhu. I think I agree with you that Adani, sorry, so Adani Total Gas, I think is a forerunner as smart energy is concerned to the moon. And I think all the smart energy initiatives will enable reduce energy consumption. We think, in spite of a huge surge in demand because of all the modern amenities, ACs, etc. I'm sure, these smart initiatives by Adani would somehow optimize and save some costs there. Thank you so much. Coming back to you, Mr. Amarnath. While we are talking green buildings, reducing carbon footprint by buildings in intelligent living, the question arises: what are the future directions of this? How can it help in changing the environment and be changed by it? Mr. Amarnath?
Yeah, thank you, Ravinder. In fact, BIM is a great tool for calculating the carbon footprint of a project. And in practical terms, BIM allows modeling of BIM objects, whatever we call as a materials or libraries. So we have to digitally model that, and such as like a socket or a valve or even a section of a wall, and that include data about what is that object all about. So that's where we call it as a intelligent library items. And in particular, the amount of carbon associated with it is also part of that data. And few companies have started using this technique to optimize the potential for reuse of the existing building components and to enrich the circular economy. Followed by that, especially in the design phase of any structures, to quickly and precisely determine the carbon savings, we have the linked data to choice of components. For example, it may be for a low carbon concrete rather than a conventional concrete. In other words, it may be BIM help us to identify potential sources of carbon savings and hence make the most appropriate choices from an economic and environmental perspective. And when it comes to demolition phase, a diagnostics of resources is carried out and integrated into a BIM model, which allows us to produce an exhaustive report, including the measurement of the carbon footprint of each object or resource, so that it can be used for best way for us. And it may be for reuse, recycle, or also for energy recovery by incineration. And this localized and quantified quantification of components let us to develop and reuse scenarios of the library materials and also the components. And in fact, for one of the campus project, for example, the savings of 41 tons of carbon dioxide were identified as part of the demolition phase. In fact, for the green buildings and for the carbon footprint calculations and data management, BIM has a major role to play.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think as we go into the future, more and more companies will invest in BIM and probably become compliant. So I'm sure. So just to ask you, so is there a compliance matrix for that buildings can certify themselves as BIM certified or BIM compliant buildings? I'm just curious.
Yeah, in fact, the global market, we have an ISO 19650 certification. So now organizations are planning to get that certification to claim that they are ISO BIM certified companies. And in fact, that is not ISO 1950. We have like 5 series, and currently they're focusing on 4 to 5 of them. And probably in coming days, most of the companies will be compliant with this BIM certification. And it will also help for client to make a decision on which is the right service provider to go with.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Coming back to you, Mr. Amit Gosai, smart buildings or intelligent buildings are often described as buildings of the future, and not simply because integrate technology to create reactive environments, but they are about people and how people will use these structures now and in the future. What in your point of view are the smart characteristics of future buildings? How are the future buildings going to look like?
Yeah, Ravinder, thank you for the question. Well, I think like your question was that the aim of the building of the future, or a smart building, if you call it, it's not about the use of integrated technology to create reactive environments alone. It's about the people. It's about how people will use these structures now and in the future to make life easier for them. So that's the basic thing. And to do that, I think so. One is making life easier. It can be with the help of very complex smart technology or with very easy technology. So it's about the human-centric approach to design, which is the core of the building. So when you talk to our architects here, they were all talking about sensor lighting and making things very easy. So from the moment the people step inside the building, whether it's a residential building or a commercial building or a factory building, we should have the capability to determine the percentage of people and automatically adjust the settings. I think everybody talked about reducing carbon footprints more for the environment. So automatically adjusting the setting of its facilities based on the people and that they're there. That should be automatic. So smart buildings or intelligent buildings, I think needs a lot more focus in terms of the structure, the processing, the smart engineering, the design elements to self-regulate. So in my view, what is a smart building of the future? It's one that is sustainable, one which is of course green, so sustainability can be reducing carbon footprints, a green building. It should be digitally well connected and 100% secure. And there should be technologies embedded in the future building seamlessly. For example, it should anticipate, like I mentioned, and adapt without the need for intervention of the people or the users. So the room temperature or the Wi-Fi or the lighting or the electricity or the heating can all be kind of adjusted on its own, so that we are doing something for the environment, and that's what future building. So that flexibility that you mentioned can very easily come in. The other important aspect is it should also have health and well-being built into the system. So that is a smart building where health and well-being is there, whether it's a gymnasium or it's a green environment where you are actually living. What we do is, you mentioned as the largest elevator and escalator manufacturer, we've got auto sensors these days built in on an escalator, because you have to touch it. So when there is a coronavirus, you're not allowed to touch it. So auto sensors, which is the UV radiation that comes, where it actually sanitizes your hand while you're getting on an escalator. So I'm sure other companies have got certain things like that. So health and well-being is becoming extremely important for smart and well-being. Touchless solutions I talked about before. And of course, there is a need towards a technology where the human experience is so good that it makes the whole building very livable for all types of people, whether they are economically backwards or upper end. I think we need to look at their smooth flow. The smooth flow of people will be very important, especially in a very populous a country like we have. And in fact, we do that smooth flow of people flow. We actually say we don't sell elevators, escalators. We ensure smooth people flow, along with a lot of electronic companies, IT companies. We work with a lot of Indian IT companies as well to ensure that digitally people are connected and there's a smooth flow. So it tells us how many elevators, escalators, etc. we need, which is right optimum. We work with the architects on that. So just in a nutshell, we might be running out of time, but a smart building should be easy. It should be foolproof, so that anybody who gets in doesn't have to necessarily use a mobile phone or a gadget to do it. Not everybody is very good at it, even in rural areas. Anybody who gets in, foolproof, healthy, sustainable, and I think the most important thing, it should be safe. Because in a building there are elderly people, there are children, so safety will be of prime importance. And I think everybody who's in the panel, including Kone here, we all work towards making buildings smart for the safety of the people. So I think that's what I would say in a nutshell. Ravinder, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think you brought a very important aspect of safety. While they're smart, but they also need to be safe. And I'm sure, with your efforts at Kone, I think a lot of that will be achieved. Thank you so much, Mr. Amit Gosai. Coming to you, Mr. Dinesh Agarwal, I think another important aspect of IoT technology remains cost. Building automation systems are very attractive as far as technology goes, but are unattractive because of high cost. These building owners would not see, most of the builders will generally deter from using IoT in their building designs, primarily because of the cost. Even in most advanced countries, if you see, 90% of total buildings lack smart technologies as far as the construction is concerned. But we also see that the cost of these technologies is reducing over a period of time. They're becoming more affordable, economically efficient for smaller building operations. Further advancement in this technology will also make them more user-friendly and easy to self-deploy, excluding the need for small buildings to have people to especially install and maintain them. With cost of IoT devices steadily declining, small buildings will no longer be able to ignore the benefits of these systems. Do you think reduction in cost of these systems will help us provide these technologies to affordable housing, or technology will amplify the divide between people who can have it and who cannot have it?
Thank you, Ravinder. A very interesting question. And at the outset, IoT is actually removing this divide, and I'll come to that. But before that, I'll just quickly address, I think one part of the question earlier, which you asked me about the security of data. Now, security of data or security of system is a real threat. And I'm not denying, because as soon as you start connecting to the cloud, you become vulnerable. The individual ordinary person, and I've automated my lighting in house, my
Mr.
appliances are controlled. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead. We lost you in between, but now you're back. Yeah, please go ahead.
Right. So I really, yeah. So I may be vulnerable, but now look at us. Let's look at the house of the commissioner of police in Mumbai city. Now, when you're doing automation for his house, you would take right, you'll bring in the right devices, you'll bring in the right software in terms of firewalling him, so that the data from his house is not as easily, penetrable. So there is technology available to stop intrusion or avoid intrusion. But to answer your question, yes, there is a vulnerability in this entire system as we automate homes, especially with the IoT systems. But then there are counter technologies available. So the question is of the balancing, between the investment and your security perception of the risk. So by and large, I think it doesn't matter in home automation. But when there are specific cases where it matters, there are technologies which are available, which you can invest into, and hence secure your data. Now, coming to the second question, which you asked, traditionally automation has been wired automation, right? And these have been proprietary protocols, as Mr. Amit Khanna mentioned, and hence the automation has been expensive, right? So anywhere between 250 rupees, 200, 250 rupees, 300 rupees a square feet, which is not really affordable, in general. So that means you end up, maybe spending 4 lakhs, 5 lakh rupees in an apartment just for automation, and you're just automating your living room, maybe a couple of bedrooms. But with this IoTification, what's happening very fast is that the cost of the communication devices is coming down exponentially. And that is helping companies like us to develop products which are very affordable. So today, if I can automate a house, when I say a house, maybe primarily a living room, in less than 50,000 rupees, right? If I basically want to do some light controls, I want to control my air conditioner, my TV, my sound system, I can do it in less than 50,000 rupees. And the same thing is happening in the office spaces, the commercial spaces, and the public spaces as well. So I can have an existing office with the light fittings and an existing central air conditioning system or a VRF system or a split AC. I can automate that house using IoT sensors, and I can control those sensors remotely and bring savings in energy and bring better comfort. I can have proximity sensors, heat and humidity sensors, and actually bring down the cost of automation. So this entire development of IoT devices is going to revolutionize and bring a high acceptance, high affordability of automation, and ultimately leading to the 3 factors which I said, which is energy saving, higher safety, and more comfort.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Dinesh Agarwal. I think I completely agree. The costs are coming down exponentially. Things are becoming more affordable, and not only for affluent people, but also for people of lesser means. But having said that, I also strongly agree with you when you say that as far as governments and public space are concerned, these are things which can adapt all these technologies and do greater savings as far as energy and other costs are concerned. I completely agree with you. Yeah, coming to you, Talula, buildings of the future are designed to function for the people who will use them. As the needs and expectations of people continuously change, the way we design and construct building must follow. If today's workforce values mobility, flexibility, and connectivity around the workplace, how should the design of these buildings address these needs? What must businesses invest for long-term payoffs? Talula, over to you. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Just a minute. Yeah. So thank you for that pertinent question. What are the needs of people today? When we talk about not just basic needs, but needs of a person in terms of a shelter and needs of a person when it comes to services that a city provides. Today, if you look at it, whether you are in Goa, whether you are a coastal state or any other location, along a river or where there is snow. Okay, we are seeing the effects of climate change. And soon we will have a situation where we become climate refugees. Now, are we prepared to, support or to, look at solutions which cater to these very specific needs? And climate change is something that all of us are going to experience. There's a need for floating buildings today, let us say. Have we thought about it? Are there companies willing to invest into R&D and look at what are the best practices across the world? And again, in this, India can lead a way, right? We can grow food on water. We can live on water, and traditionally we have these examples. We have, boat houses. Let us say we have fantastic examples in Kashmir, also in the Dal Lake. So there are these things which are, of course, part of our tradition, but there is a need where we can marry tradition to technology, and industry needs to set up to provide for these needs for the future. Can we have systems in place for waste management? Again, can we have, if I want to live on water, I need a floating building, I need a floating structure. Are there systems where at a press of a button, I can grow my own food? And today technology is that, right? We are all to connect virtually at the press of a button. But for our needs, whether it is shelter, food, can we use the same principle using technology to have things at our will? If you look at urbanization today, if you look at accessibility in the city, I work with a lot of children who are blind or virtually impaired. I work with women coming from disadvantaged communities. What about safety in the city? And there are, of course, a lot of ways in which technology can give us respite. We initiated something called non-motorized zone in the city, like a car-free day, where people thought, why don't we use technology to make our cities happier? Correct? And what is the way to be happy? The way to be happy is to have systems in place where we can expend our energies to generate energy. Why can't we have bus cycles in the city where people travel in the body of a bus, but you're cycling to, generate energy? What about bus cafes? We have those in trains, but why can't we have cafes in buses? What about waterway transport? It is underutilized today. And again, there is a lot of technology that can be used, which is, of course, there are best practices across the world. Can we look at these to adopt, in places where it is really underutilized, where it is really needed? And I think, at the base of it today, the pandemic has taught us that we are confined in our spaces. We are still looking at options for, having immunity, good immunity. So we are conscious about eating well. We are conscious about living in an environment which connects us to nature. We're not looking at, while we are virtually connected, to be in human cages. So can technology give us that? There are a lot of entrepreneurship opportunities where people can, come forward with amazing ideas. We have buildings that are turning green. We have buildings that are almost like a, using biomimicry, like a living organism, right? Which makes basic living easier. So I would say that, in terms of technology, where it respects the needs of nature and the benefits of nature, where it respects the need of a community, where it respects, basic human need, is something that is waiting to be explored. It is still underutilized, and our technological solutions are still in isolation. I like the example of the city in Japan. I myself visited Masdar city in Abu Dhabi, and there is a lot of space and investment to be made by companies where you can prove that at the press of a button with less maintenance, you can live with nature using technology. So I think I would end off saying that for long-term payoffs, what we need to do and where we need to invest is a technology that is more humane. I don't know whether we can use the word humanology, but I think that is what is needed, where we use, technology, where at the press of the button, we get what we want, but respecting nature, respecting the needs of the community for long-term payoffs.
Thank you, Talula. I think your views are quite enriching from the point of being more human and sustainable. Sustainable is something that I would keep re-emphasizing on, because what you're saying is absolutely correct. Anything that intends to make lives better, sustainable, help people in conduct of their lives. I think that's the most important aspect. If the end is that, I think everything is justifiable. Thank you so much for those views. Coming to you, Mr. Ramesh. While we're talking about intelligent living and smart buildings, we shall not deny the importance of taking into consideration the environment, form, function, and people interconnectedness as they apply to smart building design architecture. Design in response to this self-evident truth is a reminder that buildings serve people and both serve the environment. This is a constant reminder that architects are tasked with a role beyond simply the architect's visual delight. And therefore must respond in a vocabulary that speaks to environmental regeneration, human health, and wellness. What, in your point of view, are the challenges with the green buildings? How can these challenges be mitigated?
Yeah, so actually quite interesting discussion so far. I'll also be honest that, I think there are people in this panel here who are much more competent about this particular topic. To have a few points that I would like to make. First of all, what is a very interesting statistic is that I just heard some time ago, actually, more than 70% of the buildings that are out are not built by 2030 in India. So, which is a astounding and a really huge number. If you think about it, being that buildings are the most one of the biggest source of energy consumption going forward. I think driving green and ensure that it's sustainable and taking care of the climate change and things like that is an imperative. And so, having said that, I think the biggest challenge that I do see is that while technology is there to make sure that we use the minimal amount of energy, or we make the operations extremely efficient. In our own company, we do have a lot of different things that energy efficiency and particular user based tuning of comfort level and things like that, or wellness and that all these come with a cost. One thing that is actually the biggest challenge. There are lots and lots of different technologies and different ways in which people can all these things, but these are not trivial and these are not easy. As Amarnath was saying a little while ago, one of the big challenges is also about manpower. Technical manpower, put all these things together, how we can operate effectively. We can is not enough if we have technology. We also need to think about how do we.
Mr. Ramesh, you're breaking up in between. So.
Okay, can you? Is it okay now?
Yeah, I think you might want to switch off your video. I think that's eating in bandwidth. So you might want to switch off your video. And yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay. So the thing that I would like to say is that technologies are available, but in the end, how do we ensure that while we are making these things cost effective and approachable to the people who are doing these constructing these buildings, which are primarily private sector. How do we ensure also that the health and well-being of the inhabitants is also taken care of? So these things are all pulling the green building and green topic in different directions. I think as all of us on the panel, we need to start looking at different solutions. And I feel that given that there is still a huge amount of buildings that need to be constructed in future, and the fact that technologies are converging, Also, the cost of the technologies are also falling in a major way. We should see rapid adoption of that, but I think we are not there yet. In future, definitely, given the right kind of incentives from the government also would help. Because if you look at what is happening in the EV sector, I bring the EV again. One of the big reasons why it is taking off in such a way is because of all the incentives that are being given out by the government. So in similar way, given the fact that the climate change is in the top of the minds for everyone, sustainability, climate change, and things like that, and of housing that needs to be done, building that needs to be created in the future. I hope that there is a revolution that happens.
Thank you, Mr. Ramesh. I could, I think your voice was not very clear, but I could make out the sense of what you're trying to say in terms of affordability of technology, in terms of sustainability of technology, and I agree with most of the views there. Coming to you, Mr. Amit Khanna, AI in construction, artificial intelligence construction has the potential to help players realize value through project life cycles, including design, bidding, financing, procurement, and construction, operations and asset management, and business model transformation. AI in construction helps the industry as a whole overcome some of the toughest challenges, including safety concerns, labor shortages, costs, and schedule overruns. Therefore, we can say AI advances are inevitable. How are we working on fostering ethical AI design and construction of smart homes and intelligent living?
It's a hard one to answer because there are multiple reasons. One is that India's real estate industry, and now I'm talking about the construction side, I'm not talking about the transaction side. The construction side of the industry is deeply disorganized, right? I mean, we are a fragmented industry that isn't regulated by standards as far as either construction is concerned or procurement of raw materials is concerned. Now, what does that mean in terms of integrating AI? AI relies on information systems, right? I mean, if you are talking about a chain of decisions that need to be taken on a intelligent basis, then all of those processes have to be first based on some system, right? That's not really how the industry works here in India. A lot of these decisions are taken ad hoc. A lot of these decisions are taken by managers in real time, and they aren't really serving a singular purpose. So I mean, if you're building, let's say you're building in a very highly regulated economy, which is, let's say, central London, you have to worry about a lot of parameters when you're designing the building. You have to look at disability, you have to look at other other issues. You don't have those constraints here when you're building, right? So how do you integrate machine learning into a system that is so ad hoc, right? That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that I think AI works very well when you talk about singular devices. So for instance, I have a Google Nest at home, and it recognizes when my son wants to play nursery rhymes, and it recognizes when I want to tell it to switch off the lights off. And I think it is getting better as I'm using it. On the other hand, I don't think AI works very well in the commercial segment as of now. I think that pre-programmed timed switches for occupancy aren't really as effective as they're made out to be. And I think there's a lot of scope there for integrating AI into the commercial side of buildings.
Yeah. So I agree with you. That was a tough one to answer. And you being an architect, I think I know it's not an easy thing to adapt technology in traditional sectors. And I thought and I think both construction and engineering are very traditional in nature. Changes will be slow, but having said that, I think changes are imminent and changes are inevitable now. And as we see, and I was just thinking of what Rajesh said, of what Mr. Agarwal said earlier, that changes are there for are here to stay, right? The changes will happen. Adoption, will vary, but changes will be there. Just to I think we are running. I think we have just surpassed the time. Rajat, do we have time for a final question, or should we square it off here?
We can take one more question. No problem. We can take. If all panelists permit, we can take.
Yeah, sure. So, I think there was an important question on smart grid that, we had, and I would want Dinesh Agrawal to come in and talk a little, because I think he has extensive expertise in this field. Smart grids provide energy security because they help a country reduce its dependence on foreign energy supplies. They also protect a country's economic interests and the environment. To build a truly smart grid, we need better backbone for the grid, and we also build intelligence into the system end to end. What are the factors that will contribute to truly having a smart grid, Dinesh?
Thank you. So this is, in a way, I'm answering Mr. Amit Khanna's concern that intelligence, right? So what does intelligence come out of? It comes out of data. So you have data, it crunches data, it brings in, does some analytics and brings in some sense, and hence decision making. Now, if there's no data, there cannot be intelligence. There cannot be a decision making. Now, this is where, the challenge on the smart grid lies. I mean, we have to understand that the grid that we have today, whether it's the transmission lines or the transformers, I mean, they have been built many, many years ago. They're already overloaded. They're already aging, right? So, I'm trying to, I'll just explain what is the objective of a smart grid. The objective is to balance the demand and supply in an optimum way so that you continue to get power at a cheapest possible cost, at a highest possible quality, on demand. That means if you suddenly want power, you should get that power. Now look at the complexity. On one hand, we have the aging infrastructure, and now you have, the per capita number of appliances per home is increasing. It will continue to increase as the buying power in India, goes up. The good news is that most of these appliances are consuming lesser power now, right? So but the number of appliances per capita will continue to grow. Then you suddenly have EV chargers coming in now, right? So suddenly some guy decides to charge his car and there's a spike in the grid, right? It's unpredictable completely. Now, unless you know that he's going to, or he is about to charge, there's a way of recognizing that he's going to bring in higher load. There's no way the grid can react to it. On the other hand, look at someone, I've got a rooftop on my top, solar rooftop, and I start pumping in power into the grid. Unless I know that I'm going to pump power, how will the grid take it, right? So the grid is not built for all these spikes which are coming in, or which will continue to come in, in the near future. So there's a lot of things to be done. So one is, of course, the transmission lines need to be made better. The transformers which are there, they need to be made more electronic. All the power electronics there needs to be more electronic. They need to have communication devices there. There needs to be creation of a battery bank, because all that power that you're generating from renewable, for example, from solar, wind, where are you going to store it, right? So you need a storage. You need to create a huge storage at the substation level of batteries, lithium-ion batteries, where the power can be stored, so that whenever there's an excess demand, this fulfillment can happen, so that there is no excess generation at one time and excess consumption at another time. So there's a good balancing that happens. And then there is this whole communication network between all these devices which has to be created. Maybe a fiber optic, for example, connecting each and every transformer, all the power electronics, up to the meters, and so on, and metering, right? It's a big concern for the country today. As the statistics show, 20% is the power loss in transmission and distribution, right? This has, of course, over the years come down from 27%. It has come down to 20%, but still 20% is. So when the Prime Minister says that our country is self-sufficient in power generation, he's right on one hand, but wrong on the other, because all that power is not getting utilized. It's not getting metered. It's not getting paid. There is 1.5 lakh crore of outstanding payments to the distribution companies, right? Now, this has, again, like smart cities, it has got to be addressed in bits and pieces, and which is what is happening. That's why I'm saying I'm such an optimist, because the government is taking the right steps. The government has already given a $4 billion for improvement of the metering infrastructure. If you don't have a smart meter, if you don't have a monitorable system, smart meter, there will be thefts. So the industries around Delhi will continue to draw power without paying for it, right? So there has to be a smart meter which will not allow any power leakages. So government has already taken steps. Of course, the government is going for prepaid meter. My personal view is the government should go for smart meters straight away because that will create a wide area network of all the meters across the country. But then the government is spending, it's already spent along with Power Grid Corporation of India about 15,000 crores of integrating the renewable power to the, to the grid power, which is coming from thermal and hydel power, right? Which again is very important because how do you balance this? How do you, ensure that there's no frequency, distortion between the two? So that money is getting spent. So and that the grid has become a national grid. So I can generate power in one part of the country and consume it in another part of the country. So all these initiatives are already happening. They're on ground. The money is getting spent, and this will happen. But this again is going to take a long time. Where you actually have a completely connected grid from the generation to the consumption of at every house, at every factory, at every shop, right? So we are perhaps again looking at a 10, 15, 20-year horizon before we can say that there is some smartness in our grid. But it is very, very important because this country will remain power hungry because it's going to develop. It will have more, appliances, have more vehicles. It will continue to need power, and we need to manage this power very, very efficiently. So that's my bit on the smart grids. Thank
you. Thank you so much, Mr. Agarwal. I think that was quite a statement as far as the closing question is concerned. So I completely agree with you. Smart grid is still some time away. While we've been talking about a grid, a very efficient and a functioning grid, but still we are some time away from that. I think I couldn't have asked for a better, panel here to discuss this subject, and I think it's my great privilege to have been part of this discussion today. And on behalf of CII, I thank you all for this very intuitive and very informative discussion on a very important subject of the future. I hope all the listeners and all the audiences who have listened to each one of you probably would have become a bit smarter and adapt to smarter living as far as their own living standards are concerned. Thank you all so much, and I look forward to whenever we get the opportunity, I look forward to interacting with you again, and hopefully we'll be part of some other panel at a different place, and I look forward to that. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
you, Mr. Reddy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravindra.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.